Hey, everyone. I think I might have just kicked off Simply Secular Dave by mistake. I don't know. Maybe it's just a technical issue. I don't know. Well, if no one shows up, then I'm just going to be talking into the void for a few minutes and doing some shtick, maybe non shtick, maybe just neo shtick. And so late show last night and morning show this morning. It's been these Sunday nights, Monday mornings are kind of crazy. And of course, I have the job interview via Zoom. That should be interesting, right? I have to act like a people on screen. Not that I don't act like a people here, but I have to act like a responsible people for my future employer. So that's what's going on with me. I hope everything's going well with you guys, with you all. And so, yeah, crazy news stories today. And that's what's going on here. Like I said, if anyone wants to join me, you can. Feel free to. If not, after party people, Theo. And here's Dave. Hey, what's up, man?
Well, it's a beautiful morning here on the West Coast, so I thought I'd give you guys more scenery and a little less Dave.
Well, that seems like a winning combination, Dave.
It does, doesn't it? This is the beautiful inner harbor of Vancouver, otherwise known as Burrard Inlet. You'll see the little sea buses going back and forth, and every now and then, if you squint just right, you can see a seaplane taking off heading to Victoria.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only been on a seaplane once, and it was more like a pond plane, maybe. I guess it was a seaplane, but that's when I was like really young, like maybe 8 or 9 years old, and with my parents. Was it terrifying? It wasn't terrifying, but I get motion. Well, I got motion sickness basically, so I was able to brave.
Were you lake hopping, or were you actually?
I think we weren't lake hopping. It was just a pleasure ride, right? My parents thought, hey, we should go up into a plane and check out the lakes. I think we were up in New Hampshire, probably in the Lake Hampshire, in the lake country up there. And that's where, for those of you who aren't in the area, most of us middle class people here in Massachusetts, when we're growing up, we go up to New Hampshire basically, or Maine maybe, to do vacation stuff. And so we spent a lot of time up there.
On your way up to the Hamptons, or
yes, that's right. That's what us middle class people did. Go over to the Hamptons and spend our time at the multi-million-dollar estates there, and on the vineyard, of course, too.
There's the Hamptons, there's where you went, and there's the Jersey Shore.
Exactly. Yeah, the great places up in New Hampshire that it's mandatory to bring your kids when they're young is something like Santa's Village, Storyland. They're basically lower middle class versions of Disney World. I think that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
You know what? I've never been to Disneyland or Disney World.
No, really? Well, yeah. You're missing out on losing a lot of money by going there, Dave.
Yeah, I've been to Vegas twice. Yeah, Vegas is great if you like watching your money burn in the street.
Right. Well, that's why. Yeah. My own money. It seems to be self-destructive for me to have my money burn in front of me. What's up, Sammy?
Hey, Sammy.
G'day, folks.
I have to admit, I loved the Dale Chihuly art installation at the Bellagio, and there are some really cool things to see down there. There's some great restaurants, and we did have a lot of fun. We ran into some Canadians down there, and we went through the high rollers room and watched some craps, and the people playing that are such incredible characters, but they're playing like $3,000 a roll. So they're really eccentric people.
Right. Isn't Vegas just Disneyland for adults?
In some ways, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. And to tell you the truth, my 2 times in Vegas, it wasn't completely crap. The pinball museum, it really isn't a museum. Seeing all the pinball machines was pretty cool, and playing some of the pinball machines too was pretty cool. Hey, Rage is here. Rage.
Hey. Good morning.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
So, dude, what's been going on? We haven't connected for a while. What's been going on with you, Umberto?
I took a longer sabbatical than I thought I would. Everybody was like, when I was like, I'm not going to be around much. Everybody was like, oh yeah, right. And then now everybody's like, is he coming back?
Well, I was just concerned for your health, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, well, the health thing is why I've been gone, and we're getting it under control. But COVID it is a bitch, man, and they can't quite get a handle on why my breathing is the way it is. At one point we thought it was cancer. Luckily, it turned out not to be that. But yeah, they doubled up my medications, so we're kind of hoping that double the steroid does what it should have done a month ago.
So do you have an infection in your lungs right now?
No, it's just COVID. The COVID did so much damage, and mixed with my smoking and all of that, honestly, it's not even really mixed with my smoking. It's 20% of people that get COVID are going through what I'm going through, and they don't understand why we are going through it, and the rest of the people aren't. These are things that they're still trying to find out about COVID-19. So. It's kind of like shooting in the dark, trying to get me the right medications, what's going to work, what's not going to work, and, trial and error. So, and during that process, I've been pretty down, and I haven't been, my full 100%. So I haven't been online too much.
Yeah. I can definitely see that. There was a article about COVID and PTSD, and people who have symptoms can easily get stressed out and fall into a funk because of it.
Yeah, I'm really not sure at this point how much of it is mental and how much of it is actual physical. Because you had the conversation about healthcare a little bit on your show before. I'm a person that's never had healthcare, so my mentality automatically is put it off as long as possible. Can't afford it. So you only go like literally if you're dying. So I put it off for months and months and months. I lived with it for months and months, and now I'm not sure like what is real and what is just in my mind. and that's kind of what we're trying to really figure out is what's really going on in my body, and it's required a lot of radiation, a lot of CAT scans and all of that. So we're getting there, I think, and I think that I'm getting my mind to a place that I'm healthy enough to come back.
That's good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. It's always good to have you around, and my heart goes out to you with COVID and everything, and surviving with the after effects of it.
Yeah, it's all those people that went around talking about how it's like the flu. It's not. And even people that don't get it all that bad, they still suffer, long-ranging complications as a result of COVID. And these are things that we're trying to figure out. One of the more positive news stories that I've seen is some people are actually talking about continuing the mask use even after COVID's gone. And I think that that's vital. I think we should do that, especially once you look at, how diseases are down across the board, except for COVID, in the era of COVID.
I think that's really reasonable to ask people. If you go to the doctor from now on and you're not feeling well, you wear a mask.
Yeah.
If you're going to a healthcare facility where people are at risk, you wear a mask. And
yeah, I agree.
During cold and flu season, if you're using public transit, you sanitize and you wear a mask. Like there's nothing wrong with that, and it makes the whole society better for doing it, right?
Yeah, and I think it will become a personal choice. Like I was talking about it with somebody. From here on out, come wintertime, come flu season, I will be wearing that mask. That'll be my personal choice. I haven't had the flu this year, and I'm assuming it's probably because I've been wearing the mask. So hopefully more people will make that personal choice, and then hopefully a lot of those that are skeptical will see those of us that are wearing the mask continuing to be healthy. Hopefully that they'll say, hey, maybe getting the flu is not worth it.
I got to tell you the stats on the flu for Canada. On an average year over the last decade, there's been 43,000 reported cases of the flu that were bad enough for people to go to their doctor and get tested and had the flu.
Yeah.
This year, it didn't even register a high enough mark for them to say that we had a flu season. The 2020 flu season has not started in Canada. there have only been nationwide 66 cases of people going to the doctor with the flu.
That's insane, and that's what and that's kind of, I think, one of the positive things coming out of all of this is, there is a number of us that are more conscientious of the science that's been going around for years. I mean, people over in Asia have been wearing these masks for years, and it's kind of like we're just now starting to catch on.
Exactly, and even if you're healthy, wearing a mask during future flu seasons will create this kind of societal pressure in terms of other people. It'll give other people the opportunity to, because we're herd animals to some extent, right? So that we see people wearing masks, we're more likely to put on a mask.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
if you go to the doctor in the future or the clinic and they say, when you come in, make sure you're wearing a mask, and you don't, they will politely ask you to wait outside.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. Hey, Andy, great chatting with you. I wanted to pop in and say hello because I haven't seen you all weekend.
I know. How weird is that?
I also wanted to touch on that thing with the cancer marriages in Canada.
Yeah.
We get a lot of them from outside of the country because people want to come here for the Canadian healthcare.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you saying I could start some kind of black market site of bringing Americans up there for cancer marriages? Is there some kind of middleman role I could be playing?
Andy, what I'm saying is I'm single. You and the girlfriend work it out. If one of you gets cancer, I got you covered.
Yeah, I actually have a couple friends. I live here in Michigan, and they don't have cancer, but they both have MS, and they both went to Canada to get medication and got married there. So yeah, we call it the little Canadian.
Yeah.
It's like a Canadian thing up here. If you want good health care and a good marriage license, just go to Canada.
Yeah, we call that a win-win. Anyway, I got to buzz out for work, so it's been great chatting with you. Good to see you again, Rage. It's been a while.
Oh yeah, good to see you, man.
Carry on the good work, boys. I'll see you tomorrow, probably.
Take care, Dave. Wow. The Underground Railroad of Americans going up to Canada for healthcare marriages. How about that?
Well, yeah, like I've been told directions, I guess would be the right word for, once I can't buy insulin, how to get up to Canada to get my insulin, so.
Dragons of Genesis said, hey, if you do start a GoFundMe page, you'd get support from the community, but you know that.
Yeah, I've had that quite a bit, and I've been back and forth on whether or not, like right now, insurance is covering everything. So, but if I need it, I'll definitely utilize it. But I don't want to do it unless I absolutely need it. If I were to lose my healthcare coverage for some reason, then definitely that'd be something I'd look into.
Dragons of Genesis says, I'm going to be a cancer coyote smuggling Americans up north.
Well, one thing I would like to see from society, and I wish people would have done it to me. I know we're not into like shaming people, but I think we should start shaming smokers. I wish I would have been shamed, and I wish it wouldn't have taken me till 43 and a possible cancer diagnosis for me to try to do anything about it. And I think that if I'd had family members shaming me, or at least just pointing it out, because right now the rude thing is, hey, just let people be themselves. But if people were just pointing it out, maybe it would have gotten into my subconscious a bit sooner. So that's kind of like where my focus is like, how do I push people away from stopping smoking, which is like my new passion.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can. I mean, everybody in my life always has given me grief about smoking. And for a long time, all it did really is make me angry.
Yeah. I think shame's the wrong word.
I don't
but just,
mind now
yeah.
as much. Like, I get it. But it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. I can see it not
really
working.
get through to me is when my kids say something about it.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I'd like to see is America to get closer to the rest of the civilized world when it comes to its marketing of cigarettes. Have that big skull and crossbones or the diseased lung on the package. I think we've come a long way in how we don't allow them to market on TV and stuff, but with all the other avenues of marketing, that's not really affected them.
And get this, I don't know what it's like in the States, but the average price of a packet of cigarettes here is $40.
Holy crap.
Dude, that's crazy. That's crazy.
A packet of 50s is $55 to $60.
Wow.
You see, it's terrible. And you see, poor older people going up to the smoke counter, handing over their pension, basically, for two packets of smokes.
Yeah, it's an addiction. It's an addiction,
and people will pay it. That's the thing. Like it never got that high here. But I grew up in North Carolina where we grew it, so I grew up in an area where it was always cheaper than everywhere else in the country. And once I got up to Michigan and saw like the steep cigarette prices, at first I'm like, this is how I quit smoking. And then 3 days later, when I'm paying those steep prices, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
This is how I quit smoking. And then 3 days later, when I'm paying those steep prices, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to quit.
We got the echo from your computer, Paul.
Sorry, that was me if you're getting an echo. I had you on my phone as well.
Done. Resolved. I mean, when I'm talking with people and I'm thinking and I hear change language because and we covered this before about how to switch, change people's opinions. It's like when I hear someone saying that they might be engaging in a behavior, but they're saying or they're intimating that they're willing to change or thinking about it. I try to amplify that part. It's like, so tell me more about that, or what do you mean by that? And just creating this kind of, and this is what therapists do, right? They just create this kind of cognitive space for the other person to kind of start talking about it and exploring the issue. It's definitely not a short term, all of a sudden, behavior change, but it is a way of maybe helping to shepherd the other person to change the behavior.
Yeah, I've been forced into like some real immediate behavior changes, and like my doctor now is telling me I've got to change everything. So like even like right now I'm hitting on my bowl, and I've got to cut that out. That's the next thing I quit. And for me, it's been, I had to change all of my habits. So I had to get offline and stop doing YouTube every day because I was smoking a half a pack of cigarettes when I was streaming. So I had to stop doing that. I had to, I wasn't going to work, which helped because I wasn't around all those smokers on our smoke breaks. And so like, that was kind of lucky for me, but I had to change everything. And now I'm kind of rebuilding up new habits to hopefully keep me away from it. If I start fiending for a cigarette now, I go running or I go walking as opposed to sitting in front of the computers doing streams and smoking 3 cigarettes an hour,
Well, I want to say hello. I don't think I've actually said hello since you came on the stream, so I want to say I'm sorry.
Yeah, and what's up, Paul? It's been a while, man.
It has been a while, yeah. I thought I'd jump in because you were saying about the advertisements in the States. What sort of warnings do you have on your cigarettes and tobacco products in America? Is it just not like normal branding and then just like a warning this could be bad for your health or something like that?
You pretty much have just a very small Surgeon General's warning, usually on the side of the pack, and it's really hard to see. So the front of the package, you have none of that. You have your company branding, usually bright colors because bright colors draw the eye. And then on the side of it, you'll have, the Surgeon General says this will kill you.
Yeah. Well, we had very similar to that, obviously in the UK up until a few years ago. Whatever brand of cigarettes you've got, obviously it was advertising that name. Now you get very little. All the packets look exactly the same. They're all identical. So you cannot tell when someone's got a packet of cigarette.
Get around what
it is. And they've got graphic pictures on them now, and some of them are absolutely horrendous. I've got a pouch of tobacco here. I'll show you. This is basically the colour that they have, whether it's cigarettes or whether it's.
Wow.
Yeah, bland colors. That's what we need because that doesn't draw the eye to that eye.
And then if you look, that is somebody.
At the name.
It says there, smoking damages your lungs, and it shows you somebody there who's had a lung removed.
Oh, hey, that's what that image is. Wow.
Yes. It's somebody around there, and it shows you people with their voice box removed.
Obama was trying to do that here, and he caught a lot of slack. And I was against it, like dead core. I was so against it, and now I would be totally for it. That's what we needed. But I don't want it because I've always known that smoking would kill me. Like you grow up knowing it. Like it's something that you hear, but you don't you don't actively see how, or you don't see a 43-year-old man who's too young to be going through what I'm going through what I'm going through. And I think that's maybe if people were more aware of the actual health ramifications later in life, that maybe they would make that choice earlier in life not to do it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there, Nock. Obviously, I started smoking years ago, and when I started smoking, I knew that what the dangers were and what people were saying and what the medical profession was saying about smoking. But as a 16, 17-year-old kid, or into my 20s, you don't hear of people of that age getting heart disease or lung cancer or anything like that. So you always think there was enough time for you to, well, I'll just stop at a later date. I mean, I meant to stop at 30, I meant to stop at 40, I meant to stop at 50, and now I'm 55 and I'm still bloody smoking. I've got an e-cigarette, so I did actually stop for 3 years on the e-cigarette. It did manage to stop me, but now I can do that and have a cigarette. So I'm doing both. So I need to probably take a leaf out of your book and really start to
That's
to
my
think about.
favorite.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like I would not have done it if I didn't just finally go to the doctor and the doctor's like, you're dying,
Yeah.
if you don't change stuff, you're gonna die.
See that reaction that you're having, Andy?
Yeah.
The problem with these images is, do you even see the image, Paul, when you pick up your ciggies? I don't. You do, but you don't.
To be honest, I do, and I used to joke about it, and I used to get given. I get a packet of cigarettes like that, and one of them would say, "Smoking can damage your baby's health. If you're pregnant, it can damage your baby's health." And I used to laugh and say, "Well, I'm all right smoking these because I'm not pregnant."
Right.
Because the warden was saying, we all come up with excuses, don't we? And that's the problem. We come up with excuses. I mean, as well, in the UK, what a lot of people will do, if the images are that bad, you can buy a fancy, solid packet of cigarettes, obviously empty, so that then you can fill it. So you buy your cigarettes and you'll just fill it up with the normal and throw the packet away. So you've only got to see the image for a minute while you just literally take all the cigarettes out and put it in your fancy case. So there's always going to be ways around it, and people are always going to find ways of not having to look at the image. But,
and I, because my smoking, I started it as a Christian, and I don't remember going back there and correlating at all. But I understood that, if I lived my life as a Christian, I was going to have an eternal life, and this life wasn't going to matter. So I could do what I wanted on this life, as long as I, did my Christian thing, which I was never really good at that. And I wonder if that isn't a correlation as well, because a lot of Christians don't smoke, but a lot of Christians do, and a lot of Christians don't really necessarily care, about this life as much as the next one. So, I just always wondered if that was a correlation, growing up in a Christian home, not really caring, so much, because that was always my thing. I didn't really care about this life. As an atheist now, this has almost been a reawakening of my atheism, because I've come to understand that this is the only life that we have, and all those years I didn't take care of this body to experience this life as soundly as I could have was wasted time. So like for me now, it's like almost like a rush. Like I'm trying to make up for those lost years in a way, and I need to slow it down a bit.
Yeah, you're probably right. But I think we'll all try to find an excuse to justify what we're doing. Like you just said there, that you were justifying, not justifying, but you were giving it as an excuse. The fact that obviously you were living a Christian life and you had something else to look forward to afterwards. Whereas me, I've always been an atheist. But my point is, you was always using that as an excuse, and now you've come away from Christianity. I suppose that is probably what has given you a bit more grounding. Now you do realise that this is only one life. But with me, I always realised this was always the life that was going to be it. But like I say, my excuse was I can stop in the future. Unfortunately, the future has now arrived, and I should have stopped a long time ago. I think if we're going to do something,
it's an excellent point, Paul.
Yeah, it is.
For me, my excuse, because we don't, as an ex-witness, my thoughts were, I'm not going to make it into the new world, so I might as well enjoy myself while I'm here, sort of thinking. And now that I'm an atheist, I'm similar to you, Nock. It's everything is so valuable now. Things just have so much more value.
Yeah.
To me, just this statement, trying to think of how huge the Earth is, and then we can fit 10 million of those in the sun, and yet the biggest star that we've ever found would fit 100 million suns soul inside it.
Yeah, we just can't grasp the size of the universe, can we? It's absolutely
so
crazy.
And I couldn't appreciate that as a Christian. I couldn't appreciate that. It was because it had to be about God. I appreciated God, and now that you take God out of the picture, things are actually, on the up and up.
Yeah, I agree. It's been, like this experience. It was very depressing at first, and I'm not gonna lie. Like when I first got off of YouTube, it was bad reasonings, like people, attacking my kid and all of that. But as the reawakening came, and I started to really like. I've been missing this time and doing this with my daughter and going and trying to make amends with family that I just didn't care about before because, hey, they're Christians and I don't care about their opinion. No, this is the only life I have. And this is the only time with those people that I have. And I've got to look beyond that and enjoy this time with them. And so it's been a reawakening, but at the same time, it was a struggle to get there. And I want to be more of a positive person when I come back. I think that's why I'm waiting. I've been waiting so long. Like I've got to be more positive about it. And I've got to just accept people for what they are and what they show me they are and trying to stop forcing myself on other people. So that's kind of where I'm at. And it's been a process. Didn't mean to take over the stream. Andy.
Not. It's the trick of being who you are honestly in the world, right? Being who you are honestly in the world, while still giving other people, while still listening and being compassionate with other people. And that's difficult, Rage. That's difficult to do.
Yeah. So I've taken my time with it, and I think I'm a lot healthier. I think this thing with Will Kincaid is going to happen, and we'll see if some conclusion can come from a very bad thing. So I'll be talking about that at when I go live here in a little bit.
I'll be honest. I've been interacting with my birth mother, just connected for the first time with my biological family a few months ago, and this anger, this resentment that I have, it is a real issue for me, and I am muddling my way through the process. That's what I'm doing. I'm muddling my way through the process.
I would recommend not doing what I did, which is just attack everyone. That doesn't work. As I lose my lung, I am really fumbling my way now through apologies for that, because as bad as I saw their views, and their views are atrocious. Some of their views are just simply atrocious. They're theirs and they're not mine. And me ranting and raving at them doesn't change that. All it's done is driven them away from the example I could have been the entire time. So, it's that awakening to the fact that, this approach that I defended so vehemently over the years, if I could pronounce that word right, it wasn't working, and everybody was right to criticize it. So now it's time to do it the right way.
So you're talking about the how, not the what. Is that
pretty
correct?
much? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Because you still need to rage.
My advice to you, Andy, not that I've ever gone through anything like this. I've always known my natural birth parents. Yeah. But what I'd say is try not to look at it all on your point of view with what happened. Obviously, I don't know the full story of you, but obviously you weren't brought up by your mother and your father, I presume.
Yeah. Fundamental Christianity all around me. So even up here in Michigan when we were here, they were Baptist, and then when my dad moved us down to North Carolina, it was the really fundamental Southern Baptist.
But all I'd say is look at obviously you look at your point of view of what actually happened to you with Andy and Nock. But you've also got to look at your parents' point of view as well. Having children can be a difficult thing. Whether they were married or what sort of relationship they're having with the partner. What was happening with work-wise? Would it have been better for you if you had stayed with your birth parents and had to struggle with the upbringing that your parents would have been able to supply you?
It's funny that you say that, Paul, because I always thought I got like the crap end of the deal with my adopted parents, being religious, being crazy, and then the more I'm hearing about my birth family, I'm like, maybe I dodged a bullet on this one. Maybe the adopted family wasn't as bad. It's gotten me a total new perspective, and actually, I've gotten a lot more positive. But it's still this kind of churn, right? Because even though I can cognitively, I can think my way through it. There's all these artifacts. And I think those of us who have coming out of religion, we realize that we can think clearly at times, many times, but we still have these emotional responses that we have to work around. So that's what it is, really, just me wrestling with my reptilian brain around it.
And like you've said, you appreciate the life you've got. Most atheists tend to do. We appreciate the life we've got, and we appreciate the fact that we are here. We get one chance, and that chance that we've got is like, it's like winning the lottery a million times over. It's such a small chance it was actually being here. And at the end of the day, your mother brought you into this world.
Yeah.
All right, she wasn't in a position where she could look after you, but if it wasn't for her, you wouldn't be here.
Totally true. Totally true.
Yeah. And I think it's a very natural human thing that once you are awakened to that, and you know that you had this one life, and all of these superstitions are false, it's a natural thing to want to share that. You want your loved ones to feel that too. You want them to come outside of what you can now see as holding them down. And it's very frustrating when that doesn't happen. And I took it out in the wrong way. And I blamed them instead of blaming me. And I should have blamed me because I was the one that wasn't giving the message accurately enough or being the best example. Now, that's when it comes to family. Now, when it comes to the channel and talking about Christianity as a whole, I think we have to hold it to the highest standard because it has some of the highest power and it has some of the highest influence still. But as I'm going to talk about once I go live, I see that influence waning. I'm back to work this week. I worked Good Friday. A lot of Christians weren't at church on Good Friday. They were at the bar drinking. So I think that society is changing, and we have to keep the pressure up.
Yeah, the thing is as well with religions, especially Christianity, it puts itself in that position. It puts itself as the highest standard. So I don't think there's anything wrong that we should say, well, hang on a minute. No, you as a Christian, you should do this because you put yourself on that high standard. So we're going to hold you to it. I was just going to, without trying to change the subject much, but I was going to say, do you find it frustrating when Christians say that atheists don't have anything to live for? They don't have meaning in life. I find that extremely frustrating.
Because I think we have the most. Like we understand fully that we only have this time. Like that's one of the awakenings that I had, through this whole process is, man, how much time have I wasted playing video games? How much time?
I'm just going to say we've got everything to live for and nothing to die for.
Yeah.
The way I see it is, some magic sky fairy went poof, and we were here. Okay. Or life somehow began that we still don't even fucking understand, and then evolved over millions and millions of years, even billions of years, we now realize, to get to this where life can now think about itself is mind-blowing, whereas the Sky Fairy, poof,
Yeah, you put magic into it. Magic can answer every question, can't it? And at the end of the day,
it's not
these gods have evolved over time. If we go back to the history of all the different gods that we've had, these gods are always put into place to answer questions that we can't answer. Obviously, we have like Thor, the god of thunder, or the god of war, and we've got all these different gods, and they answer questions we can't answer. And as honest people, we should be able to say, we don't know the answer to this, but we're not going to make crap up to answer it. We're going to remain in the position that we don't know until we find a proper answer for it. And just making a God up to answer that question doesn't answer a question at all.
I'm going to say this. I think a lot of Christians, a lot of people who are religious, don't understand where meaning comes from. They just assume that they have outsourced their meaning to this institution, to this myth. And it's like, your meaning does not come from those areas, or innately it comes from inside of you. We're like, and I've talked about this before. We're like songbirds, right? It's like songbirds have their song. Some species of songbirds already know the song. They just have to practice the song and experiment with the song to sing their song. And that's where meaning is coming from. It's coming from within you. So if you don't believe, that's actually an easier route to get to your meaning, to figure out why you believe you're here, and to experience meaning. Religion, God, these myths, they just get in the way. They just get in the way.
And on the other side of that, why does nobody, I mean, it gets mentioned, but I'm seriously considering making a video where I go to all the prominent Christian channels and I just cut the bits where they're raging or being abusive or just downright calling names, making a big compilation and saying, this is Christ's love in action. His rage
as well.
Opening his heart up and saying he needs to be less angry and not attack people and take them into consideration. But I'm not seeing that coming from their side at all. When it comes to YouTube atheism anyway.
And what you want to do
they
as well
are so angry.
Is go onto the Christian channels and find them infighting between themselves and disagreeing with themselves. They're doing enough calling of atheists, but each denominations are calling each other as well. And then us as atheists, they're trying to convince us that they're true. Well, where the hell do you turn? Because they can't. They don't even agree within themselves.
Yeah, they can't. And that's why, you have people like, historical figures like Constantine during the Council of Nicaea, just because Christians were unmanageable. They were unmanageable. And he's like, well, I will manage you since you cannot manage yourselves.
And it's kind of been like that off and on through the ages. And I try to point that out. And I get a lot of criticism for it, especially from the Christian side, because they don't like to look at their own history. But, that never really changed. That, when they don't have good managers of their institutions run amok through society. And that's why I've always said, don't think that they can't go back to burning us alive. That's why we have to keep the pressure up, because they can go back to burning us alive if they really, really want to.
Absolutely no doubt they would. Absolutely no doubt they would. Yeah. If we lived,
look at Capitol Hill,
like it was
they
years ago,
wanted to kill.
Yeah,
but if we had religions that were actually in charge, they would. They'd burn you at the stake without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I have people that want to do that to me now. They talk about it openly. Like, yeah, I wish it was back in the 1800s. No, dude, this. We've come a long way, but that's what we're fighting, right?
Just look what's happening with Telltale. Look what's happening with him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I said in my video. Like, he is the most moderate of us all. Like, he would see me as an extremist, no doubt. And they're attacking him in the same exact way they attack me. There's no in between for these. We're all extremists to them. We're all extremists.
Yeah, I mean, it like you say, is the way he comes across is so polite in his talking. All he does is use logic. He uses common sense and logic in his talking. He doesn't use any profanities. He doesn't even verbally attack them. He just uses logic but
holds his own community to the same standards as well. Like, he calls out, he'll call out people like me for being extremists in our rhetoric if we're being extremists in our rhetoric. That's Telltale. That's what he does. Yeah,
it is exactly what he does. So yeah, if they'd string him up, I'm quite sure they'd string us up without a shadow.
Oh yeah, that's not even a question. And once again, if Trump had gotten a second term, if QAnon was allowed to metastasize more than it has already, it would just be a hop, skip, and a jump to something really dark happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you've seen modern societies castrize themselves into that state. You saw it in Germany in the 1950s, right? So, and there was a lot of things that led into that. Andy, you know the history probably better than I, but we've seen it happen. It can happen again, and that's why we have to be vigilant. But my point is, with those around us that are family, one thing true that the Bible does say is that, you know, like when Jesus goes home and nobody believes any of the things that he's saying, your family members ain't going to believe you. They remember you in your diapers when they were teaching you these things, and they're not going to listen to you. So tread softly with family, but hold the church to account.
Yeah, I mean, with what I tell creators, whether you're a blogger, a comedian, artist, YouTuber, whatever, your close friends and family will typically not be your fans. There will not be people who follow you. You know, they just have a different image of you, and they do not expect them.
Each time for me, like when a family member finds me and they're like, "Oh, dude, I love you," like it happened recently. It's like a complete shock to me because I don't promote it to my family, at least not anymore. I think I tried to do that back when I first started, but it never ends well for me. Like my family, they'll listen to me for a while, and then it's like World War III erupts, and it's like it was never a good thing for them to listen to me on my YouTube channel. It never was. It's never been a good thing.
Well, I came out to my half sister recently as an atheist, and because she's, you know, I tested the waters. This is my half sister that I just came in contact with a few months ago, but it was a gradual process of me coming out to her. It was only until I felt safe enough to say, hey, you know, I'm a big godless liberal, and not only am I a big godless liberal, but I'm on social media too. And she was able to accept that. But when I go to the family reunion in August, I am not leading in with that, my friends, whatsoever. I'm secret squirreling this.
Yeah, I was an in the closet atheist for about 8 years. I did not speak about it. I lied. I went to church. I did, you know, I pretended for a long time. And then finally I was like, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do it anymore. And the reverse reaction was raw. And that's when I created the Raging Atheist. And as a result of that, like that reaction of coming out, like I'm just because for a long time I lived away from my family. I didn't have to hide, and when I came back to Michigan, it was like I had to hide it, and I'm still dealing with the psychological ramifications of that process, and all the innate Christianity with me. Like how many reactions that I've had against Christians was my old Christianity coming out.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
you know?
I hear what you're saying. And you know what? I just want to go back to my previous statement, is that I plan to be in the closet when I go to the family reunion. I cannot stop being me. So I might be able to hold it together for the first pint or two, but after that.
Yeah, it's that's the good thing about alcohol. The truth comes out, man.
I cannot guarantee my silence. Yeah.
My experience in the UK is totally the opposite to what you experience in the US. The majority of people over here don't care about religion. They might call themselves Christians, but they don't care about it. They never go to church. It never comes up in a discussion. You can know somebody, literally, you can know somebody for 20 years and have no idea whether they hold a religious belief. And even if they do, it's not usually a strong belief. I mean, my parents, they were atheists. Well, they didn't believe in a God as such, but they classed themselves as Christian because it was like a cultural thing. I was probably guilty of it as well, getting to about 15, 16. Then I turned rebellious and went, you know, basically, stick your God, I'm not interested in it. But God never really comes up into the question here. I don't believe in God. My parents didn't really have much of a belief about it. They would have been, my dad would have classed himself as agnostic. He'd have gone, well, there might be something. And that'd be about as far as it would go. My brother, he's an atheist. My sister, she's a Christian. She actually does go to church. Never talks about it. Never comes into it. She knows my opinion on religion. I can slag off Jesus all I want, and she'll just sit there and say nothing, and there's no argument. And she even laughs about the fact that I go on YouTube and slag off Christians. She finds it funny. Nobody gets it. Everybody at work knows. I say everybody at work knows that I'm an atheist, and they're all atheists as well when I talk to them, but they're just not interested in voicing it.
Right.
So, I think it was a couple of years ago we had a notice board, and it said somebody had wrote on the notice board, "Happy Christmas to everybody at work," and then except the atheist, which was me. So it was quite funny.
I think there's a lot of people that would disagree with me, but like my opinion is here in America, you can't escape it.
It's difficult to rate.
Here in Arkansas just passed a law based on their God and whether or not people can discriminate based upon their God beliefs. And it's a law designed at the LGBTQ plus community, but it's using God as their basis in state law. You cannot escape it here. And I do believe that what's going to happen with religion is going to be determined with what happens here in the United States when it comes to religion, because I think that we're going to lead the way for either theocracy to be born again or for progressive idealism to continue. So I think we're at a crossroads right now, and people don't realize it.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree.
I can speak to that. Like, as an Australian, we probably even one step further than you, Paul. It's forbidden to speak about religion or politics in Australia. You do not speak about it. Huh?
When you say forbidden, where is it forbidden to speak about it?
Just colloquially. You just don't do it in Australia. We don't talk about religion. I think it's too awkward, and we just don't want to deal with that awkwardness. And it comes back to that sort of Aussie, we just don't really give a fuck. You know, and it's interesting, this discussion we're having, because just earlier tonight I was having quite I won't say heated discussion, but my partner was having trouble understanding why I can't just let people think and believe what they want. Why it's so important, and why I think that, you know, it is so dangerous. But I just have to quickly go and grab my child. I'll be right back.
Sure, dude. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Understand that, trust me.
Nobody seems to care that much over it. I could literally put a sign in my front garden, basically condemning religion, and people they'd agree with it and just think, well, that's a bit stupid. What's to put that there for? No one's going to attack me for it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize like how close America was to that. Like I've been doing a lot. I look at a lot of history. I'm a history buff. Me and Andy could talk the World War II probably hours and hours and hours. But like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, America was on the brink of getting rid of religion altogether. And there was some resurgence. I can't remember the name of it, but it pretty much led to people like Billy Graham. You know, this evangelical resurgence here in America. But it was on the brink of absolute destruction, and just if the tides had turned then, how much more advanced we would be at this point is it's a phenomenal mind gamble to think about, like just what would have happened had that actually occurred. And I think a lot of it had to do with the Civil War and racial tensions and conservatism rising again. Really, I mean, people don't understand just how close we were to being a completely different country.
Yeah.
In history, you're the first real secular country, aren't you?
I think we were. We led the way, but now we're regressing. And Donald Trump, you know, I've often said Donald Trump wasn't the cause; he's just a symptom, because it's been happening for a while.
Yeah, but even over the last several decades. America is one of the most religious Western countries we have. Yep. When it comes to the Western countries, America is right up there when it comes to religion.
Good news on that front, though, because church attendance is down more than it's been ever, I think, even including that late 1800 period. So, like, we're on the brink again. That's what we have to keep up the pressure.
A few thoughts. I believe we're 47% of Americans are church members, which is the lowest amount it's been. It's been dropping quite a bit since the year 2000. Back in the 70s, I think it was 73% of Americans were church members.
Well, and a lot of Americans that consider themselves to be Christians don't understand what that entails. And I'm going to kind of highlight it briefly. I'm going to have to jump off here because I've got to get ready for it. But time flies when you're having fun, man. Thanks for having me on, and I didn't mean to hijack the stream.
Dude, this is just an open room after the show, so we talk about whatever people want to talk about.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's good to hear from you, Rach. It's good to hear from you. It sounds like
good to see you back.
Are going in the right direction for you, brother.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot better. I've been trying to make videos, but it's almost like writer's block, but not quite. Like there's like a million ideas brimming under the surface that are ready to come out.
It's I'm going to sound like a wanker for a second, but you're also trying to refine your voice. How do you sound now with this change?
Yeah.
And that's something difficult to do. That is trying to find your voice and trying to figure out how it's changed.
Yeah, and the change is phenomenal, dude. Like I feel energized again, but at the same time, I don't know how I want to express it. So I think it'll be quite a journey.
Trial and error. That's what it is. Yeah. It's trial and error.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for having me on. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Sammy. You guys are always great, man. And I'm gonna go jump over and start getting ready. So y'all have a good one.
Just a quick one, Rage, before you go. With the decline of religion in your country, hopefully it'll happen the way it is here. All the churches get turned into pubs. It's brilliant.
Oh man,
condominiums.
I'm not a drinker anymore, but I would love that. That
brilliant.
I would be all for it. All right, y'all have a good day, and I'll try to hop into these more often. I'm gonna try to be back in the community a bit more and interacting.
All right,
so
good to hear from you.
Yep, have a good one.
See you soon.
All right,
yeah, good to see you back. But I'm going to jump out as well because I'm going to do a stream at 4:30, which is in 40 minutes. I'm going to do the stream that we did. That just fly the plane. I'm going to redo that on mine. Well, not redo it. I'm going to play it onto mine if that's all right with you.
Cool. Yeah. I actually have to run because I have a job interview.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to. It's all a Zoom interview. But I do have to prepare for it and make myself look like a human being, which, I kind of look like a human being, but I have to get rid of the green screen because it's not a green screen kind of thing. I have to move my set out of my bedroom where I am now down to my library. And then I have to remember exactly what position I'm going for because I have a couple of positions that I have that I'm trying to do. So Paul, what were you saying again, brother, that you're doing in 40 minutes? You got...
Yeah, the just fly the plane. Best advice ever that we did on yours. Yeah, I'm gonna basically live stream it onto mine or whatever they call it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you got to premiere it and everything, and live stream it. That's good because that was a great episode of Best Advice Ever. Just fly the plane. Yeah, fly the plane.
Yeah, I was pleased with it. Yeah. I need to start putting some more content out because my subscription rate's starting to climb a little bit now. I'm 97 now because Jess M. He actually subscribed to me in the last stream that you were in. So and Tobin Tomplin, he showed me on your channel as well. So I've got a couple of more subscribers. So I've only got about 2 or 3 to go, and I hit the 100. So I need to start some more stuff out. I spend most of my time doing this, jumping into other people's stream because you've got the audience.
Yeah.
Whereas if I go live, I might get 3 or 4 people coming to mine.
It's a slog. That's what it is. It's a slog, and well, I've said it once. I've said it before. The internet's just a bag of tricks, man, and figuring out what the tricks are is, and that's good. One of them, to build, popularity is to going on other people's streams. That definitely helps.
Yeah, and that's what I've mostly done is gone on other people's streams. So I need to start getting some content out myself. But just that much out there. It's what do I do?
Well, I will tell you what I've done is that I have if I'm going to talk inside baseball, I have a 2-phase approach. I have the moments or weeks that I want to expand how many viewers I have, and then there are weeks that I really want to drill down and push out content. And you can typically tell that, Andy's putting out more comedy shorts or more comedy bits. That's trying to expand the amount of viewers that I have because people like the comedy. While doing content like this, really digging in, I find it more fulfilling personally.
Yeah, these are more fun. These sort of conversations are quite fun. When I jumped in here, it was just to talk about the cigarette things and
that cigarette stuff, man.
The amount of the way the conversation goes. It's just a great way of communicating with people when you do these open mic type things after shows and stuff. It's a great way of communicating.
True enough. All right, so I'm gonna close up shop a little bit early, 5 minutes early. But hey, Sammy and Paul, thanks for coming on. I learned a lot about freaking smokes. I'll tell you that. I learned a lot.
like, don't do it.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I mean, back in the day, I was smoking Camel non-filter cigarettes. I don't even know if they still make non-filter cigarettes at this point.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if they
I
do.
imagine so.
Yeah, somewhere probably does, but no, I can't remember the last time I saw
yeah.
non-filtered cigarettes.
Yeah. So but it's been decades, and I was never smoking heavily. Yeah, but okay, so that's me. Everyone, thanks again, Sammy. Thanks again, Paul. Paul, you're on in 40 minutes. Go check out Paul's channel. Go over there. This, if you haven't seen the Just Fly the Plane, it is it's a lot of wisdom. It's a lot of wisdom there that Paul dishes out. Definitely worth seeing. And
Yeah,
with
I'll
that,
go sub, Paul.
cool.
I'll go
right.
sub now to you. If I think I'm just realised I'm not subbed, so there's another one.
Lovely, thanks very much.
Now you've got 2 to go. Surely there's 2 people here that can go on sub.
Yeah, yeah. Take a look over at Paul's channel. And once again, 3 o'clock, I'm doing Jenga just to have fun, hang out, and maybe get my blood pressure down and relax. Maybe that's what I'm going to do, right? And I get to tell you
And
all
tell
my
us how your interview went.
Yeah, and tell you how the interview went. Exactly. That should be fascinating because human service interviews, jobs like this, they are full of codes. They're full of codes about, well, you know, you're not going to get paid a lot. It's like, yes, I've been doing this job for many years. I know what kind of money I'm getting. Yeah, and then there's the personal danger. What kind of personal danger might you be in? Oh, don't worry, I'm comfortable with that too, to a certain extent. So those will be some stories at 3 o'clock, I'm sure. Everyone, thanks for showing up. I had a great time last 2 hours. This has been great. And catch up Paul's channel.
Yeah, thanks, Gary Priestley. 98, it says.
Cool. All right, take care, everyone. I am
99.